Imagine a tense morning in the United States Senate. The room is packed with journalists, aides, and cameras, ready to capture every move. At the center, Attorney General Pam Bondi faces her first major supervisory test 9 months after taking office. The atmosphere is heavy, laden with serious accusations and pointed questions about the Justice Department's performance under her leadership. What was supposed to be a routine hearing quickly transforms into a stage for political clashes and surprising allegations, where every word could become a headline. Among the corridors, reports circulate of hundreds of federal prosecutors who have left the department, citing pressure to participate in unethical actions or fearing future reprisals. This internal crisis highlights a profound dilemma. To what extent does politics interfere with law enforcement? Bondi, upon assuming office, promised not to politicize her role, but now faces a scenario where former colleagues and critics denounce the use of her department's power to protect presidential allies and attack opponents. The audience's focus quickly shifts to an explosive allegation. Tom Hman, a high-ranking government official linked to immigration and close to the White House, allegedly received $50,000 in cash from undercover FBI agents. The accusation suggests the payment was intended to secure future contracts during a potential Trump administration. Despite recordings that supposedly prove the transaction, the investigation was allegedly closed quietly, without any legal action, under the claim that there was no evidence of a crime. The public denial by Press Secretary Carolyn Leavitt only increases the tension, leaving the public and lawmakers confused about the veracity of the facts. Bondi, under pressure, avoids directly answering whether Hman received the money or paid taxes on it, citing that the case occurred before her confirmation and that it is up to others, such as the FBI director, to decide on the release of any recordings. This evasiveness generates frustration and accusations that the Department of Justice is more concerned with protecting allies than fulfilling its duty. As the hearing unfolds, other allegations emerge that paint an even more worrying picture of the political use of the justice system. Among the issues raised are the alleged favoritism in international contracts, participation in questionable decisions regarding documents linked to Jeffrey Epstein, and involvement in cases involving Hunter Biden, son of President Joe Biden. Several members of Congress denounce that experienced prosecutors were removed from their positions simply for investigating cases related to former presidents, creating a climate of fear within the department. The central accusation is clear. Instead of acting as an impartial body, the DOJ is allegedly being instrumentalized as a political tool, transforming the law into a shield and sword to protect allies and attack adversaries. For many experts, this is an institutional crisis that threatens not only the integrity of the judicial system, but also public confidence in the American justice system. The narrative of abuse of power extends even further. Members of Congress cite letters from hundreds of former Justice Department officials warning that recent decisions could compromise national security and weaken the country's ability to combat terrorism and complex crimes. Michael Ben Ari, a longtime prosecutor, even posted a memo on his office door, urging colleagues to act in the best interests of the law and the nation, not in pursuit of political interests. He emphasizes that the priority should be protecting the country, not pursuing the president's political enemies. These allegations reinforce the perception that the Justice Department faces a profound ethical dilemma between maintaining its independence and succumbing to the political pressure of a highly polarized administration. Tension rises when discussions arise about holding officials accountable for critical events, such as the Los Angeles protests and the Capitol siege on January 6th. Questions about the legality of military strikes and the actions of antitrust lawyers who disagreed with major corporate mergers go unanswered. The hearing reveals a pattern. Serious issues of public interest are deflected or answered with personal attacks, creating frustration among lawmakers and journalists. The tone of the debate approaches a direct confrontation between politics and justice, showing that the path to transparency and institutional accountability is still far from being followed. Historians and governance experts observe that situations like this are not unprecedented in American politics, but rarely reach the intensity of an administration that appears to be instrumentalizing centuries-old institutions for personal or partisan ends. A comparison with past administrations highlights the contrast. Federal prosecutors have always had sufficient autonomy to investigate and prosecute any citizen, including high-ranking officials, without fear of political retaliation. The current change suggests that the system is being tested in its ability to withstand external pressures, raising questions about the future of judicial integrity and public trust. As the hearing drags on, it becomes clear that the Tom Heumann case is just the tip of the iceberg. The series of refusals to answer crucial questions, from approving multi-million-dollar international gifts to overseeing figures linked to sex scandals, indicates that the Department of Justice is being pressured to prioritize political interests. Experts warn that normalizing this behavior could weaken the rule of law in the United States, impacting not only domestic politics but also international perceptions of the country's impartiality. At the same time, the media exposure of the hearing highlights the importance of informed and vigilant citizens. The case demonstrates how internal decisions made away from the spotlight can have profound repercussions, influencing contracts, criminal investigations, and even national security policies. The narrative also highlights the role of the media as a watchdog of power, ensuring that serious allegations are not confined to internal reports or closed hearings. Every detail disclosed, from Bondi's evasive answers to letters from former employees warning of risks, contributes to public understanding of the complexity and gravity of the moment. The scenario, however, is not solely one of crisis. For many analysts, the current moment offers an opportunity to strengthen oversight and transparency mechanisms. The debate on ethics in the use of public power can translate into structural reforms, ensuring that future administrations do not use institutions as instruments of personal protection or political attack. Furthermore, pressure from Congress and civil society creates important precedents, demonstrating that ethical or legal deviations will be questioned and exposed, even when they involve figures of high political relevance. The hearing's narrative also draws attention to the complexity of the decisions faced by prosecutors and public officials. Caught between ethical dilemmas and political pressures, these professionals often find themselves in situations where strict adherence to the law conflicts with orders from superiors. The departure of hundreds of experienced prosecutors from the DOJ not only highlights this dilemma but also points to the potential impact on the quality of investigations and the protection of the country against serious crimes. Throughout the hearing, it becomes clear that questions about ethics, politics, and justice are intrinsically connected. Each of Bondi's refusals to directly answer questions about corruption, illegal financing, and political persecution reflects a larger conflict, the struggle between the need for transparency and the temptation to manipulate the system for self-interest. For governance experts, the lesson is clear: strengthening independent institutions and constant vigilance are essential to prevent abuses of power, protect citizens, and preserve democracy. The unfolding of this case also serves as a warning to civil society. The lack of clear answers to critical questions can generate widespread distrust, undermining public faith in institutions. At the same time, the pressure exerted by Congress and the media creates a channel for accountability, reminding us that justice should not be subordinated to politics, and that prosecutors and lawyers have an obligation to act impartially. Finally, Pam Bondi's hearing stands as a landmark for reflection on the role of the Department of Justice and the limits of political power in the United States. It reveals not only specific cases of possible corruption and persecution, but also structural issues regarding ethics, governance, and judicial independence. This historical moment offers valuable lessons. To protect democracy, it is essential that institutions remain impartial, that prosecutors and judges follow the law, and that society continues to demand transparency and accountability from its leaders. Now, we want to hear from you. Given these accusations and omissions, do you believe it's possible for a Department of Justice to remain truly impartial under intense political pressure? Share in the comments how you would assess the Attorney General's actions in the face of such dilemmas and whether these measures are sufficient to restore confidence in the justice system.